how does somebody go about like finding a deal on the MLS, and how does somebody approach the deal?
You have to first identify what your role is.
What type of margins are you guys looking for?
Flip profit went from 10% to 20% needed profit.
Why even bother building a relationship with a real estate agent, you know?
The name of any game of business is relationships. It's all about keep your costs low, your profit high, and keep your people happy.
How many deals would I have to go through in order to find an actual deal that makes sense?
In this market right now, I think you're probably going to have to hit about 150 offers, maybe even 200 to get a deal.
Hi, everybody. Jose Luis Morales here. Welcome back to another episode of the Residual Real Estate Agent Show. Today we have Ryan Zolin. He is a real estate agent / real estate investor. And today's topic is going to be how to find deals on the MLS and how to build relationships with agents, and agents how to build relationships with investors. He's going to help us bridge that gap. The reason I wanted to do this topic is that a lot of people think that they got to get super creative in order to find deals. A lot of times there's properties just sitting on the MLS, and I think that all that is required is having the right approach and strategy. And I think Ryan's the perfect person to help us with that. So welcome to the show, Ryan. How are you?
I appreciate you having me, man. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good, man. Thank you for asking. So I did want to ask you, just who is Ryan and how did you get involved in this wonderful world of real estate investing and real estate industry in general?
I am a 24-year-old out in Arizona. I've been in real estate since I was 18, so 6 years now. I got into the industry just by not going to college. I didn't know what else to do, kind of fell into real estate just by a few recommendations. And I started off as an agent, became an agent for 3.5 years, built a team, did commercial, business broker transactions, and then transitioned over to the investment space about 2.5, almost 3 years ago now. And that's where my focus is.
So let's get right into the topic. Like, how does somebody go about like finding a deal on the MLS, and how does somebody approach the deal? Do I bring my own agent? Do I go directly to the listing agent? What is my pitch?
I think there's variables to work out in there. It's not as easy as just go on the MLS, find a deal, get it under contract, sell it. You have to first identify what your role is. So what we do with a lot of people always ask me, like, I teach this thing called this double dip, and they're like, what is that exactly? The double dip is where I'm a licensed agent, my transaction coordinator and everyone on my team is licensed. They get to represent themselves, or it's now my TC that does it. She represents us in the transaction. We get the commission for the team as the buyer's agent, but we also get the assignment fee as the buyer. So you've got to identify, are you an agent? If you're an agent first, okay, great. You should not be leading into the conversation with the listing agent representing you. You should utilize that license and go and get the commission because you have the ability to. Why else would you have your license? Now, if it's the only thing that's going to get the deal done is by having to give that up and have it be a dual agency because of how far the numbers are off, it's a different conversation. So I think that you have to first identify that. If you're not an agent, you've got really one choice here. You can go right to the listing agent, which is what I'd recommend. Or, I guess the alternative is you could bring a buyer's agent to the table. Be mindful is that the buyer's agent is actually going to be probably a pretty big hurdle in the transaction if it's not you. And what I mean by that is that the seller pays the commission. So if the seller pays the commission to the buyer's agent, it really, all it's doing is taking the ability for your offer net to the seller lower. So when you're an agent and you represent yourself, you can utilize that commission as leverage to be able to then all of a sudden say, hey, I could go without commission, but my offer is going to be $10K lower now. So that's what we do. It's all strategy based on that. As for how you find them, it's the same thing as direct to seller marketing, whether it's off market investment or a traditional agent trying to farm, you're going to be doing the same concept. You're looking for motivation. I guarantee you agents are the only ones that really do this, but they go and they target one specific neighborhood and it doesn't have any motivation other than I see the numbers that come in and there's high enough turnover. This is my market. What I'd rather challenge them to do is find motivating factors, especially if you're an agent, because now you could flip your hat around. Hello, now I'm a real estate agent, not just an investor. So when you're going direct to seller, obviously it's a little bit different, but direct to on market, you got to find the motivation. Motivation is a bunch of different things. I could make that a whole episode on this, but I would say it's like pre-foreclosure, probate, any kind of like remarks, public or private, days on market, especially right now. Those four should keep people busy enough to when they first get started in MLS before they start diving into some real like data points to it.
So what you're saying is that maybe to start off with, you create different searches on the MLS that are higher likely to have that motivation. Like, so for example, like the pre-foreclosures, you can obviously create certain filters on there if somebody's behind on their payment, probate maybe. How do you dig for motivation on some of the things that maybe aren't disclosed on the MLS? Like maybe if it's a divorce, are you guys calling each listing individually and asking why they're selling, or what does the process look like there?
You hit it right on the head. No deal goes out without an attempt at the very minimum to a conversation with the listing agent. You have to be able to know what the seller's situation is. Now, 99% of the time, the seller's situation is discovered and their motivation is discovered through their situation. So when you call and you're like, hey, the seller probably doesn't want to close this in like 30 days, right? When you say that, their first thought is, well, no, it's vacant, it's this, that's a divorce, they have this situation, whatever. They're going to tell you all of that. So it's asking without asking the direct question. So I think that's the catch here. I mean, this is some of like the skill that comes with this strategy that you don't always have talked about, because when you call, you obviously are just trying to get the deal, right? No, when you sometimes call, our thought process isn't to get that deal, it's to get the next one. It's to build the relationship and the win-win between us and the agent and the seller, which would even be a win-win-win. And then that's when multiple deals occur. So it's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, the most important thing about this is that there's no overhead. So what I'm trying to create in my movement is that I want people to go and start with agents in MLS. Now, once you start getting some capital built up, you can identify what you want to do in the industry. There's creative finance, there's buy and hold, there's commercial, there's development, there's fix and flip. You could go short-term rental. I mean, the list goes on. I'd rather see people take less risk with less overhead in my strategy, make a quick buck, and then redeploy that however you want, whether that again is into the business or even just creating a nest egg. That's what we're trying to do.
Not only that, but like some of the deals when you go direct to owner, they may not be 100% ready to transact in the next 3 months, 6 months, a year. You may have to nurture them somewhat, as opposed to a deal's already on the MLS. They're already on the marketplace already, so they're ready to go. So it could be that time frame for a deal. Do you look at deals by price, or when you're looking on the MLS, like aside from the criteria, what else are you looking for? Are you looking for properties that need work? Are you looking for properties with poor marketing? Are you looking for properties that need work? What do you look for typically? And what are some of the different searches that you create that could help individuals or agents find better deals?
Price point absolutely matters. You got to first identify. So if you're a wholesaler, what are your buyers looking for? Because you're going to go into the conversation saying you're a buyer, but you're really not. So if you're going to say, oh, no, I'm buying up to $1 million, but your buyers are only buying $300,000, $400,000 houses, don't waste your time. So yeah, purchase price, absolutely. Right now, our biggest one we're targeting is days on market. That's just the biggest pain point. What we're noticing is that it's a first initial no, but then they come back. It's usually 7-10 days around there that you'll get another call back that they'll be like, fine, we'll take a lower offer. Okay, well, now you've got the leverage because now they came back with the tail between their legs. So that's our main focus at the current moment. It's anything under, I think it's 500,000 and 10 plus days on market is what we used to do. Now it's 30 to 45 days plus. So at that point, if it's been sitting for at least a month, we know that that's a pain point. So now we've identified there's motivation to sell, there's a pain point. Now what's the seller's situation? By the time we've identified all of this, I mean, it doesn't really matter to me if the condition of the property is a teardown or if it is move-in ready. A deal is a deal. And I had this conversation earlier. I had a few meetings before this and I was talking to the guys and they were like, well, we just have to find all the distressed properties. Like there's a category in the MLS called fix up needs repairs. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it's very easy just to go to that. That is the low hanging fruit. And quite frankly, again, when you're first getting started, that is exactly what you should go and target. Now, in the market where we're at right now, we've found deals where it's been just sitting and the seller's done. They've emotionally detached from the property. In a perfect world, they're already moved out or there's nothing that's really tied to that current property. And then they're just like, just go.
And I know that the approach that some investors use is they just send out like offers, like without ever talking to the listing agent. I've received like blank offers multiple times, but I think that this approach sounds a little bit better just because you're actually having a conversation with the listing agent. You're finding out what the pain points are. You're finding out like where you need to be at. Is that the approach that you guys take, where you guys is it like a numbers game where you're writing multiple offers, or are you guys picking and choosing which properties to write on just based on the seller's motivation, basically?
We, in the past, were doing a big scale of just 5 offers per person per day. Now we pulled it back and we're like, let's just really submit like sniper approach. Instead of going shotgun, go sniper. So we started doing that with offers. The market's just, honestly, dude, it's transitioned big time in the last 6-8 weeks. So I don't know. I mean, I think that what we're transitioning to again right now, I can't even say with full confidence if it's going to work. Literally confirmed this right before I hopped on here. We're going to start doing LOIs instead of offers. So the LOI game is to hopefully just do this on a mass scale. It's not as scary of just submitting a bunch of offers with EMD being committed and all this. It's just a conversation starter. Let's get their opinion back. And the goal obviously is to get the deal, but it may not be to get the deal in the first initial outreach. The goal is to get a call back. Once you get the call back, then it's game on. So we're trying that approach. We're going to see how that works over the next probably 4 or 6 weeks. But in the past, it's been 5 offers a day. And then over the last few weeks, it's been just dialed in focus, 1 to 3 offers per person. What they're really doubling down on at the moment is the relationships with the agents, and trying to just build and nurture, create, develop. And then again, it goes back to creating win-wins.
So a little bit of off subject, but with the marketplace transitioning a little bit, what type of margins are you guys looking for? Like, I know that for a long time we were doing like 80%, 85% of ARV, which is kind of slim. But obviously with the marketplace transitioning in some areas, in our areas, it transitioned 10, 15%. So it like basically wipes out like profit when you factor in closing costs. So what adjustments have you guys made there? Just out of curiosity.
Flip profit went from 10% to 20% needed profit, cash on cash return. And then also with our offers on average, if you're just asking like what percentage of ARV, we can't buy anything that is over 60% right now. So it needs to be basically just a little bit above half of what the ARV is. We can pay for it.
So you said something very important. One of the things that you said is that you guys are teaching your agents to build relationships with agents. What are some of the challenges that you see with the traditional approach as it relates to agents? And then also, like, what is it that you're actually teaching your agents, and how do you actually build relationships with real estate agents? And why even bother building a relationship with a real estate agent, you know?
Working with other agents, I mean, the name of any game of business is relationships. It's all about keep your costs low, your profit high, and keep your people happy. And what I found through our strategy is that most agents I can relate to because I was an agent for 3.5 years before becoming an investor. So a lot of the things that they have as questions or roadblocks, limiting beliefs, whatever it is you want to call it, I typically can put myself in their shoes, and I might have even had those same thoughts, feelings cross my mind. So what I try to do is I try to break it down on a 3rd grade level. If this, then what? If you find this deal at this price, then I will buy it. We will split the profit. If you go and talk to a seller and this happens, then call me and I will buy it and I will do this, and that, whatever the situation is in the deal. So we try to make sure that we educate them. And then also what I teach within my program is patience. So it's patience and education. What you got to understand about the education piece is that this is foreign. They're not used to fast closes, cash transactions, no appraisals, as is. It's a unicorn. In a perfect world, I don't know why agents and investors aren't already working together beautifully, let alone agents and agents. Agents and agents, I mean, you guys should be best friends in every marketplace. You should know who the top 20, 30, 40 agents are in your state. And if you're not in their sphere, you're probably not in the top 20, 30, 40 agents in the state. Because I can tell you, it's like that 80-20 rule. 80% of the people do 20% of the business, 20% of the people do 80%. That 20% of the people that do 80% of the business, I guarantee you, they all know each other very, very well. So it's the same concept you want to put yourself in with you and the agents. So if you're an agent going and building more agent relationships, educate them. Tell them what your process is. Hey, I am Ryan Zolin, and I am an agent, and I'm an investor. I'm also a wholesaler. I want you to know when I go into these properties, and I have every intention of buying every property. I have the ability to buy every property. With that said, sometimes an exit strategy would come in place where a partner of mine in the industry is going to come in and they're going to buy the deal off me. Now, the reason we want to do this is because I need to offload, and I don't want holding costs. So if I'm able to sell this thing quick, I will. Now, some of them catch on. They're like, well, you're making commission and an assignment fee. Great. You know what? Let's split commission 50-50. So now they're getting the list side commission plus half the buy side commission. We're getting half the buy side commission plus an assignment fee. That's a win-win. Most people I know that are investors would say, yeah, that agent relationship is gone. They're trying to eat my commission. I'm trying to make twice as much money in 2 different spots. That's not how this works. At the end of the day, who cares? There's so much money to go around. There's so many deals to go around. That's the abundance mentality everybody needs to have in this. And I think that's where the whole area of agents and investors, I think it went wrong over the last 6 years. I think investors got this stipulation that agents are just assholes and they don't know what they're doing, and it was low barrier of entry. Agents hate investors because they think, especially if they refer to them as wholesalers, they have not had a good experience. But agents don't like working with investors. And even I'll make the argument, the ones that do, they typically have a database of 20, 40, maybe at most 50 to 100 agents that are VIP investors. How do you insert yourself into that category? So that's where I just started telling agents for investors. I mean, why wouldn't the hardest part of being an agent is finding a client? If you have a client that's willing to close in 14 days, who gives a shit if they wholesale? If they're committing to a deal and you're going to get paid your commission, that's a deal that wouldn't have been done had they not been there. So it doesn't matter if they wholesale, it doesn't matter if they close on it and buy it themselves. If they got the deal done, they got the deal done. Now, if they're canceling every deal with you, it's a different conversation.
Are you finding out that deals on the MLS have less margin if you're wholesaling them, or are they still like similar margin as direct to seller?
We have smaller margin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say would be like in Arizona or Phoenix? What would you say would be like an assignment fee that would be reasonable or average? In other words,
I'll give you exact numbers. Direct to seller, average out of a bunch of my buddies that were going direct to seller, they were getting about $25,000 per assignment fee. Now, my average assignment fee is about $15,000. Now, where I was able to capitalize, no marketing, and I get the commission. So my average price point was $500,000, and that 3% commission is 15. I'm walking away with 30 with no overhead. They're walking away with maybe out of that 25, 10, 15. It's all about their cost to lead. But yeah.
Now, what would you say, like, how many deals would I have to go through in order to find an actual deal that makes sense? Like, is this like something that's like 100 deals to one, 50 deals to one, 1,000 deals to one? What would you say would be something reasonable that somebody should look for?
It's all numbers I had before the market flipped on us here. So bear with me if it's not accurate. If anything, what I've been telling people is 300 agents should bring you 1 to 3 deals. I've been telling people to talk to 1,000 agents. With our new system we were just doing with automating text, we found 1,200 conversations with agents will bring you the 1 deal. So now as for offers on market, I mean, that's just in this market right now, I think you're probably going to have to hit about 150 offers, maybe even 200 to get a deal. Now, out of that 150 to 200,
150 offers.
Correct. And that's written offers. That's not just,
that's like an LOI, basically, not like a traditional like offer that you're writing out, basically.
The 100 before was traditional contracts. Now the 150 to 200 I'm testing out with LOIs. That's what we're going to try to do instead and see if that works a little bit more efficiently. I think that it will. But yeah, if I had to give you a number right now off the top of my head, 150 to 200.
Now, let me ask you this. In order to write 100 to 150 offers, how can somebody like systemize that so that it's not like one by one? I've seen it where I receive offers where it almost looks like everything is signed. The only thing that's changed is the property address and the price almost. Is that the best way to kind of systemize this? And what's the best way to manage everything and kind of know like which offers? Is there like a CRM for that, or what would you say? And also, like, if you have multiple agents that work for your company, how do you make it so that multiple agents aren't sending the offers to the same people with just different prices or whatever?
So it has to be funneled some way. There has to be a system. What we've gotten to is my TC. She's the one that sends out all the offers. So we use Podio as a CRM. The team inputs the address, the ARV, buy price, renovation cost. They even generate the LOI. Now it has everything signed. It's definitely just replace address, replace price, signature's the same. It's all automatically generated. We use Podio for that, and then the team manually goes in and they submit their LOIs. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's again benefit to both sides of if you want to go and do this manually, and if you're an agent, write 5 offers a day yourself, or if you want to go and do LOIs automated, or you can even go right to the listing agent. If you go right to the listing agent, the beautiful thing is that they're going to write the paperwork for you. So when you're saying keep track of it, you just got to keep track of the offers you're submitting. You don't have to keep track of paperwork. I mean, you can, but you're not submitting the paperwork. You're just signing it. So that's the process we're at now anyways, with the TC doing the paperwork. Everything is signed all in one spot rather than agents all writing them separately. And then if they were to go and input a deal that's already in the system, it doesn't allow it. It says this deal already exists. So that way it's all just streamlined based on who the agent was on the team that got it. TC handles paperwork, and then I sign everything, and then it gets sent out. Aside from that, TC keeps everything organized.
So there's basically like a central hub of everything, and that central hub is basically Podio. That way there's not like miscommunication or anything like that as well too. Now, In order to do 100 offers, does that mean that you guys are doing like 100 market analysis, 100 CMAs on deals, or are you guys almost just taking the price that they're listed at and then multiplying it by like 60% and kind of using that as an average, and then almost like digging deeper if you get a call back or if there's additional interest in the deal as well too?
Biggest thing is that the 150 to 200, that's not like in a day, that's not in a week, that's in a month. So if you really want to break it all down, I mean, that's 5 offers a day. 5 offers a day is 25 a week, is 100 a month. Now that's 100. So if you want to go do twice as much, maybe aim for, I don't know, 15, 20, maybe 30 deals or offers. That's, I'm just telling you, it's a lot to put out in a day. The
Per
answer is
individual, or is that for the entire company almost as well?
per individual. And then also to the CMA, yes. So they have to underwrite every property that they submit an offer on. Now, what we're trying with the LOIs is we're going to try this on a mass scale, and we're going to try just doing like probably a certain percentage. But I told them I don't want just random offers going out. Like there has to be calculated, targeted offers. So we'll see. I would say that as for underwriting, though, absolutely, especially if you're first getting started with this strategy, you're not just submitting offers blind. You need to be going in and like look at the comps, look at the deal, look at what has sold around you, what's your price per square foot, what's the square footage on your house compared to the other one. Like you got to underwrite the property to know what you're even doing. So to start, absolutely. Once you get going, not necessarily, but that's also not going to be like you're going to hit flaws. So like the reason we haven't like launched that entirely on our side yet is because okay, what happens if you submit something at 60% of ARV or 60% of the list price, but what if it was 100K overpriced? Well, now you're not at 60%. You're truly probably at like 75, maybe even 80%. That's not a deal. So that's why the LOI is hopefully going to get just some interest to get people in. But yes, definitely need to be underwriting 5 offers per day per person. And then we have 50 conversations per day with realtors per person.
I think that makes it really simple for people. So like if they just submit 5 offers a day times 30, that's 150. If it's taking 150 to 200 offers to get one good deal, if they do that, they should end up with at least one deal by the end of the month, basically, that meets the margins that they need to be at. But it's like an actual process as well, too. Now, what are you guys doing to like, so for example, what are you guys doing to stay connected with agents? Are you guys doing like real estate events? Are you guys doing networking things? Are you guys taking agents out to lunch? Are you guys sending text blasts? Are you guys sending ringless voicemails? What is some of that? What does that process look like? And then once you tell me that, like we could talk about maybe a pitch to a real estate agent as well, to how to pitch what you do to a real estate agent as well.
So we text blast, we RBM, we have our VIP agents. Anyone we've done 2 or more deals with, they come and they get lunch with us. They'll hang out at the office. They call us anytime. We're like super, super close with them. Aside from that, we do networking events every month. I think, I'm not sure. I think it's the biggest meetup in Arizona. But we go every first Tuesday of the month. And we usually pull in some of the big name guys that are out here in the industry, get some of my buddies, and they come out and they just speak, drop some value. I pay for the entire venue. I usually only have like one sponsor, but that sponsor is a title company I have ownership in. So the reason I bring that up is just because most events you go to, there's a sales pitch. I have a course and education program, for God's sake, and you can ask anybody at any of my events. I don't talk about it. Now, I'm sure people are going to make an argument that I'm probably leaving a lot of money on the table by not going and throwing that right hook. I'm doing it because I'm trying to provide value. So in the last year, I've spent over $30,000 of my own money into the community. That's just into other realtors, other investors, shutting down restaurants, bringing speakers in, paying for food, everything. So, I mean, photographers, videographers, all that stuff. So I've done that just for the community. I try to do that just to show that I care about everybody, but also it helps actually bring value. So we don't always see the monetary like value come back, but what I get in like impact and fulfillment within the community, it's a million times that. So I'm able to watch others even go and build relationships where I can show that these 2 people met and they're working together now and they came from my meetup. So yeah, we're pretty active out there. I think that we've done a very good job of being loud. I'm just fortunate to be in a very competitive city and state where it's like this is the wholesale and investor hub of the entire country in Phoenix. And a lot of them, I got to grow with them, and they're some of my best friends. So been cool.
So it sounds like it's basically mainly you lead with education and providing value and giving, knowing that the more you give, something good will come back a lot of the times. So let's say that we find a property or a property that has caught our interest for whatever reason. Maybe it's only got one picture. Maybe it's been on the market for 30 to 45 days. Do you mind walking us through like that conversation? Like I'm the listing agent. I'm like, hi, Ryan. How can I help you? Do you mind kind of just to give our viewers a better idea as to how to do this?
Hey, is this Jose?
This is him. Who's this?
Hey, Jose. My name is Ryan. I'm an investor out here in Phoenix. I'm calling about a property that I think you're the listing agent for, 123 Main Street. Is that yours?
Yeah, that actually is. How can I help you?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking my call today. I just want to ask you a few questions, if that's okay. Do you have a couple minutes?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. First off, before I don't waste anyone's time, do you have any offers on the table?
No, we actually don't. It's kind of just been sitting. It's kind of, as you may already know, like the market has transitioned a little bit, so we've been getting very little activity on it.
Gotcha. So, I mean, I'm going through the photos online. I'm trying to figure out just a little bit more about the property condition. Can you tell me, is there anything from the photos that I can't see that I should know about?
No, I think what you see is what you get. There's actually a 3D
Sure.
tour on there as well too. So if you take
Sure.
that, that's pretty accurate. Like the photos are a little Photoshop, but if you take the
Sure.
3D tour, that'll give you a pretty good idea as to what the condition is.
For sure. How old is the AC, roof, electrical, plumbing? Is there anything major along those lines that needs to be repaired?
No, so I'd say the roof is probably in the last 10 years. I don't think that they've done any plumbing, but there's no plumbing issues. And then the electrical hasn't been updated, but there's no electrical issues that I'm aware of.
Gotcha. So, I mean, a little bit about my process. I go in, I buy these properties. I told you I'm an investor. I usually go in, and my intent typically is to fix and flip. You mentioned it earlier, the market's going down. So I'm actually interested in also buy and holding. Is there a situation here where you think it might make sense for me to go in, fix it up, and be able to make some money, just turn around flipping it?
I think it all just depends on the number. Did you
Sure.
have a certain number in mind that you were kind of thinking?
We do. I get to do the fun task here where I call, I get all the homework, and then I bring it back to a business partner. We've got some money guys involved that I have to obviously get their underwriting and approval. We are cash though, so we use hard money or private money. So we come in just like a typical transaction. Before we get to that though, if you don't mind me asking, why is the seller moving? This house seems to be in a great location. I mean, is there something specific that they're planning to do? Do they have a house already?
No, I think for them is just they're tired of being landlords, basically. So they're
Mm,
kind of just simplifying
gotcha.
their life, basically.
So this was a rental then for them.
Yeah, previously, yeah.
Gotcha. Is the tenant still in there or is it vacant?
No, it's vacant.
Gotcha. Okay. So I mean, I guess last question here. I see it's been sitting for like 30 days. If it sits for like another 30, do you think the seller's bottom number is still the same?
I don't know if it's still the same. I know that he's kind of thrown out that he might lease it out. That's the only
Sure.
kind of carrot that he's kind of thrown out. He's like, if I don't get this number, but I mean, if you guys have an offer, I would just present it, and then we can kind of take it from there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and I appreciate that. Definitely want to get an offer submitted too. Let me just take it back to my partners. We'll run some numbers. I'll give you a call back here in like 5-10 minutes. But I think we're probably in the range of like 130 to 150. I know it's a little bit off from the list price, but that's just like my very, very first instinct. I'm going to bring everything back that you told me. I'm going to see if I can get that price up a little bit, and then we'll go from there if that's cool with you.
I wouldn't even write it at that price, bro. I think that's I think it's
Yeah,
way too low, to be honest.
for sure.
I
Well,
think they've got some room to negotiate, but I just think that's way too low.
no worries, dude. That's 90% of my conversations. What I want to do is I just want to be a resource for you. So at the end of the day, all I'm going to ask is that you save my number. I'm going to go ahead and talk to the partners anyway, see if I can get them up. If I can't, I'm just going to go ahead and I'll send you a text that our range is going to be where it's at. If your seller needs anything or if they want a cash offer, feel free to reach out. But aside from that, I just have one request before I leave you. I want to be the first person that comes to mind the minute you come across another opportunity like this, whether it's a landlord that needs to sell the house fast, pre-foreclosure, probate, anything and everything about real estate deals. I want to be the first person you think of. So is there anything that I need to do to have you save my contact as like a VIP person?
No. If you want to send me some chocolates, you can definitely do. I'm just kidding.
No, you got no. You know what? Just for that, I'm sending over a box of chocolates. Do you like milk chocolate or dark chocolate?
Seas candy.
You got it, man. All right, we'll have that sent over. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to getting some deals with you, even if it's not this one.
Sounds good, man. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Ryan Zolin, the real deal as it relates to building relationships with agents. Cool, man. If somebody wanted to learn about this, like what would you say would be the best way to kind of get educated on this?
First off, starting on YouTube. I think that YouTube University, being that it's free, it just dip your toes in. Everyone will always tell you in the entrepreneur world, you got to go full force. I'm like, no, you don't. You could try and do whatever you want. There's no rules to anything. So what I'd like to see everyone do to get started is start off on YouTube. Just do some research on real estate in general. Now, if you're very focused in on what I'm doing with MLS deals and agent relationships, you can watch some of my stuff on YouTube. You could look up my name, find some videos and calls that I do. Aside from that, if you're trying to escalate that process, skip a few steps, and just shortcut it to get access to me, agentinvestors.com is my course and community platform. We have a community Discord where I'm active in there every single day. I go live with my students on Wednesdays, and then we even do like comping calls with the community on Wednesdays. So like right after this, I'm hopping onto a call with my dispo guy. It's the first one that I'll be on, but we'll be going through and comping properties for the community. So I just like to be a resource. I want to make sure that everyone understands there's options out there. You don't need to pay for it. There's free resources. But again, if you're looking for the education piece, agentinvestors.com.
So just a little quick summary, Ryan. If you're looking to build like finding deals on the MLS, sometimes it's not going to work on in that deal, but you want to be basically at top of mind when something else comes up, and you want to be the first person that they think about with multiple agents as well too. Now, on the other end, now how do you make it so that they're the first person? Like I know that some people say, well, look, entice them. Like say if you're a real estate agent, tell them, hey, look, you'll represent me, because they have to have some, like, what would be the benefit to me? Like, if basically like to put you at the top of my list, like if you're going to represent yourself, like what's the benefit besides obviously getting an offer for the seller? Is there any other incentive? Or
you're definitely going to find out that you can represent both sides in the transaction. That's normal. But you'll get that in that handwritten card that you'll get in the mail with the C's candy. So I typically try to find some kind of personal touch point with the relationship. I don't do this on every conversation, but on ones that you could tell that there's potential, send them the C's candy, send them a gift card, find out what their favorite store is. How do you become first to mind? Stand out. How do you stand out? Dude, there's been times like this has literally happened to a few of my buddies. This happened to me once. Being at a restaurant, somebody sees you poster at the restaurant, they call the restaurant, they have a glass of wine or drinks or whatever, or even dinner paid for. That's not what is expected, but it's something that makes somebody go like, holy shit, did that just happen? The best things I've done is when I've been at dinner tables with other investors that are bigger players than me, that I've paid for their meal. Because then they're like, holy cow, like who is this guy? They make note of it. It's a little detail. It doesn't even be buying something. What are you going to do that's different? I mean, are you going to call them and say the wrong name? Are you going to call them and say, hey, how's the family? There's a big difference. So being a VIP, they have to show potential. I mean, obviously we categorize them. We have different tiers to our realtors. We also have different follow-up procedures. Based on our conversation, you'd be labeled as a winner in my book. I'd put a follow-up for you within 21 days. Now, within 21 days, you would also probably call me first because you'd be getting something in the mail that was like, oh my God, who is this guy? Then you call me. Then because you followed up with me, I mean, dude, this happens too. Like we'll send something and I don't get a response back. I'm like, oh, whatever. It's a write-off. Now you get people that call you back. Those are great. Now you move from a winner to the next tier up, because now you're showing that even if it's just a follow-up to say thank you, you're calling because I was the person that came to mind when you got a gift in the mail from me. Obviously, that's how you want it to be, but the fact that you called me, you didn't have to, meaning that now we're going to build a relationship. Let's go and let's figure out, let's go have a drink. Let's go have dinner. Let's go and get to know each other. I'll tell you everything about my business. I have nothing to hide. I'll tell you all about my wholesaling. I'll tell you all about the investor stuff. Quite frankly, I can't be the face of Agent Investors and grow this community if I'm not the guy at the forefront saying, hey, agents, this is how you talk to investors. Hey, investors, this is how you talk to agents. We're all friends. Let's go. So that's why I'm trying to create that community and safe place for them all just to be together. And hopefully all the questions that get asked, whether it's an investor or an agent, the answer is there for them.
And I think that's the right approach, because a lot of times, like even like investors, like I see it where they almost look down on the agent and the agent looks down on the investor. So what about the other way around? And this will be the last question that I ask. What if I'm a real estate agent and I want to build more relationships with more investors? What advice would you give us there?
I think this is the identity part. You have to figure out, are you a secret agent or are you the agent that wants to be on the billboards? And I don't like to play this middle ground of, oh, I'm just the agent that does normal 5-10 deals a year. No, I'm talking like, do you want to be the quiet one that works off referrals, or do you want to be the one that's loud and obnoxious all over social media? Now let's take it to the next question. How much time do we have? Are you doing part-time agency or are you full-time? If you're full-time and you're willing to work and put in that grind, maybe it's hustle season for you. Go and tell investors, I want to write offers for you all day long. Do it. Yeah, you're gonna be canceling a lot of deals. But if you just start representing yourself as the person that represents the investor, my TC is on my traditional real estate team, and she has only lost maybe 3 or 4 relationships. And out of the 3 or 4, they were not relationships we would have, 1, wanted, or 2, ever had a chance of saving. Those were agents that were already in their own head that it was all going to go downhill. So that happens. I mean, I would tell you like what I think should be done is it needs to be more like love, empathy, education, that patience piece. I think everybody's in a rush. And it's ironic coming from the 24-year-old that we all need to slow down. But like, I don't see what we're all, it's like this hurry up and wait game. Everyone wants to hurry up and get to that next level and then try to be onto that next deal. It's like, no, like be present, figure out who you are, what you're trying to accomplish, reverse engineer it. It's not that hard. If you're an agent that has all the time in the world, investor relationships are easy. Just write offers all day. Go work for an investor. You're telling me right now, if you're working on that team and you're the agent that represents the team of investors, you're the winner. You're the person that they're going to go to for any and all questions, any and all paperwork, any and all representation. You're the person that's going to get paid the most amount of money, in my personal opinion. I mean, that's, I don't know, I can get on again a whole other rant and topic on that, but
I wanted to just say thank you for coming on the podcast. Obviously, I have enjoyed it. Today's topic was how to find deals on the MLS. If you're looking to wholesale deals from the MLS, just how to find deals on the MLS to either hold as rentals, to find deals on the MLS to flip them. This is the video. And then remind everybody again, how can they get a hold of you? And if they wanted to take a course from you, where can they do that as well?
Yeah, just check me out on social media, Ryan Zolin. It's across all platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I have a Discord. It's all links in my bio. I give away 99% of this stuff for free. The 1% that I have that's extra inside the course and education is an agentinvestors.com. You guys can actually use code MLS, get $100 off the course. But it is incredible. I mean, that's where I put everything that I have. Where I mentioned it earlier, we're actually revamping. We're doing more stuff that's targeted for agents. So right now we have the investor side of the course built out. We're building out the agent side. That should be up probably in the next week and a half, 2 weeks. But I'm just trying to make a difference and lead the way for agents and investors working together. So agentinvestors.com. Check me out on social media. I appreciate you having me, dude.
I love it. And then for all of our viewers out there, if you've enjoyed it, this was episode number 132. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. And then if you feel like this episode would add value to anybody else, make sure to hit that share button. Thanks again, Ryan. Appreciate your time, brother.